Long time no see. I was just gathering my thoughts today, and I thought to myself, I needed to make an updated mental health / dealing with school advice video, right? So that's what I'm here to do today. And I just want to get started right away because we don't want to procrastinate. We want to stay motivated, and we want to stay on top of the game. Am I right? It's a little tricky, but yeah, I'm right. I would have to say, about 10 minutes ago, I asked you guys some of the things you would like me to cover, and you guys left me some amazing topics. And a lot of them could kind of be grouped into similar things if you kind of get what I'm saying. So yeah, without further ado, we have some really good topics. And I'm not going to lie, school's hard, all right? I think school is hard for anybody. Whether it be you're really, really good at school, it's still hard to stay motivated, or maybe you struggle with school, you're really motivated, but you still get, your grades don't reflect the way you think that they should. I feel you. And let's talk, because I personally wish somebody would have sat down and talked about these with me when I was in school, or first starting high school or first starting college. But hey, I don't think the time is ever too late. So first, the very first thing that we're going to talk about today is homework taking up all of our flippin' time. We want to play sports, we want to hang out with our friends, we want to learn how to cook, we want to learn how to clean. Heck, some of us might even need to be paying the bills, which means we have a job that takes up 99% of our free time once we're outside of school. What the heck do we do? So for my first tip, you guys, time management. And I'm going to make a whole video of this on its own because trust me, I deal with procrastination, I deal with resistance, I deal with depression. There's a lot of things that come in contact with time management. It's not just some easy topic that's like, oh, okay, I can apply that to myself. No. So I kind of wanted to do a deeper video on time management because a lot of you guys had asked me to cover that. The reason why I say time management with homework is because think about it. There's only so many hours in the day. If we already have, 7 of them taken up by school, and then, however many rest with sports, with work, that doesn't really leave us much time for all of the hours of homework or hours of reading that some colleges or some schools put on us, right? So one of the things that I used to do was I would try to finish whatever assignment was in class. And with the extra time, even if it was just 15 minutes, even if it was just 10 minutes, 15 seconds, I'm just kidding. I would use the last bit of time in my class to do the homework that I already have for tonight, right? Especially if it's due the next day. Now, if you have homework that's due in 3 days or at the end of the week or at the end of the semester, you do not need to freak out about that the second you get it assigned to you, right? So try with the planner. It's really hard with the planner, but we have phones that remind us anytime we want to. We could set the reminder for whenever. Sticky notes were my best friend, but me taking advantage of the little amounts of time that I would have either in between classes, during class, during lunch, you guys, it's really easy to do homework and eat at the same time. I mean, a lot of us probably do it at home, and that would be maybe another bit of advice. It is a little tricky when you're dealing with mindful eating, when you just need to be focusing on what you're doing in the moment. But if you are okay with your eating habits, if you have a healthy way of living and you are able to eat and do your homework and study at the same time, that kind of knocks out 2 birds in 1 stone, right? We need to eat, we need to fuel our brains for the next day, and we need to get our assignments done so it causes us less stress and havoc, right? Another thing, use your weekends wisely. I know we want to have fun, and I know it feels like, yo, we only live once, I'm only a teenager once, but you guys, school and education is so important. We have all summer to be messing around, hanging out with friends, staying up late, and doing miscellaneous things. But let's just use the school time, you guys, to try and stay as focused as we can. It's gonna at least teach us dedication in the years to come for our future. Even if some of us might not be planning on going to college or maybe not even finishing high school at the moment, getting in the habit and in a routine of getting your assignments done and keeping on track of homework and not falling behind, it seriously, it will carry on throughout any other aspect of life. Yeah. My next topic that I kind of want to cover, and I want to go over these like real quickly. If there's any topic again that you guys want me to just make a video on its own, please just let me know. But I kind of like these videos where we talk about a whole bunch of different topics regarding one idea, if that makes sense. The next little bit of advice that somebody asked is dealing with grief. This is a tough one. Whether it is the loss of a friend, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a pet, maybe it's even just a fight with our boyfriend, our friend, our mom, or dad, we can grieve about a whole bunch of different things, you know? Even getting a bad thing on our test. Like, we don't just have to pinpoint death or very crazy experiences in life to grieving. There's so many different stages of grieving. One of my bits of advice is talk to your teachers. That's another video that I might want to make on its own because a lot of you guys kind of struggle with that. Talk to your teachers. If it's possible for you to get homework assignments or even projects in advance and go home and work on them at home and then come back, teachers are so understanding. Some of them are not, I promise. I've dealt with teachers that, you can't win. You just can't win. That's a different story. There's a lot of counselors that you can talk to, and those counselors will do their job to then talk to your teachers in case you might not be able to. I mean, it's hard for a teenager to talk to an adult, especially a teacher. It's like, you know, it's just a relationship that's weird. Some of us might not even want to dig deep into that relationship at all. So just try to talk to somebody, even if it's maybe your friend talking to the teacher or your parents talking to the teacher, a loved one, a sibling. Use your voice, I promise. If you keep quiet and you don't really talk about much, it's going to cause a lot more stress, you know. If you have at least one advocate on your side, I promise it makes things a lot more easier. My next big thing is education can be put on hold if it needs to. When my mom was sick and I was first dealing with that, I stopped going to school. I did fall behind in some of my classes, but I did the best that I could to stay on top. But I took time to myself when I needed it. Education is always going to be there. School is always going to be there. It's really important for us to finish high school when we can, but college, you guys, following our other degrees that we want to pursue, that can be put on hold. Our mental health is going to dictate whether or not we can even be conscious and coherent in class, you know what I mean? If we're just daydreaming or our mind is in a completely different space or dimension, it's going to be really, really hard for us to then even gather our thoughts when we leave school because our mind and all of the baggage we're still carrying is heavy. It's hard to take off your school backpack and then your life backpack too. So be careful with how many backpacks you're carrying around at a time. If you need to put one down and just tend to the other one for a second, organize it, get it ready, do what needs to be done. But do not have too much weight on your shoulders or your whole body is going to start tearing down, not just your heart and your mind. You know what I mean? The next two things that I want to make videos on its own is tips for studying, you know, just how the heck do I study? How do I keep motivated for studying? How do I study wisely? I want to make a video of that all of its own. And staying motivated in school. I feel like that is a topic we could talk about for a really long time on its own. So, how to stay motivated, please look forward to that video as well. The first, semester of school is almost coming to an end? Not really. What are we? Only a couple months in? Hang on tight, I promise. Staying motivated will be coming. Next, one thing that I had you guys mention, and specifically ABH girl, you know who you are, you asked me to talk about perfectionism. This is something that I feel like I've kind of covered in another video of its own, progress versus perfection. But you guys, school, like I said, it's a stepping stone. It's about learning. You know, we're not building a final model car. We're not putting a down payment on a house. It's not like that, right? We're learning. We're educating ourselves. We're progressing, you know? Understand that expectations can carry you down very, very heavy. So I advise you guys, if you have any, you know, issues dealing with perfectionism when it comes to school, and I can also make a whole nother video because I think OCD and OCD tendencies are completely different than just wanting to be like perfect in school, but it can carry on that too. That could also be a whole nother video. Oh my goodness, this is literally me talking about, oh, here's gonna be the next video. But anyway, how can love affect your mental health in school? You guys, holy flippin' moly. I promise I want to make my own video on my high school experience when it came to love because, oh my goodness, we are not full-fledged adults when we were in school. I want you to please take my advice. People will come into our lives, let them come into our lives. We do not need to be out looking for our soul partner or our marriage partner when we are in high school. Okay? Think about the theory of selective choosing. When you're sat in a room with people, you're gonna just choose randomly a person you like the most. Wait till you get out into the real world to open it up. Our emotions when we are going through puberty and when we're just developing into young adults, into our early teens, our late teens, our emotions and our hormones are going berserk. So to place in such a serious and life-altering relationship at such a vulnerable point in your life, it's not saying you can't, I did it, but you gotta be careful and you have to expect that it's not gonna be a fairy tale ending right away. Heck, some cases it might be, but life is not a wish-granting factory, as our favorite movie says, so just take some time. When you are focused on even a struggling friendship in school, it's very hard for us to multitask in general, right? It's hard, Our brains can only do so much at once. So think about it. If we're trying to go to school, we're trying to learn, we're trying to stay on top of our grades, trying to maintain a good relationship with our teachers so our education is still progressing, then you add on a burden of, oh my goodness, somebody doesn't love me, somebody doesn't like me, somebody isn't texting me back. You need to be focused on your homework. Remember all of the homework that takes up so much time? We don't need to add on extra stresses. And think about it, a relationship is another backpack. It's another bit of baggage. It's a heavy weight, It's really heavy. And with any relationship, you have to put in time and effort. So you have to be prepared for that too. If you really want to put in the time and effort it takes to school and then try to find other time and effort to put into a relationship and maintaining that relationship while maintaining your grades, allow your shoulders to be free just for a little bit. I promise you get older, it doesn't get easier. I mean, I know that might sound, oh my God, Sarah, I'm here for good advice. We have to prepare ourselves for still challenging journeys to continue, So as I said, distracting ourselves when we could be educating ourselves and getting ready for further life experiences, we just need to be careful. Becoming codependent at a very young age can also really hinder our progress as a self-independent person. That can be a whole nother video, codependency, but we just have to be careful. As I said, our little hearts are so valuable. Just be careful with them at a young age. Take my advice. Because the things that happen when you're young, you don't forget. The heartbreak you feel, even though you'll grow up and be like, oh my God, that was so silly that I felt that back then, that doesn't change the pain you felt then in that moment. And we might not have the, we may not have the blueprint or even the advice yet for how to handle our emotions or our relationships or our tendencies or our temperament. So it might be a little bit more challenging then, Next, how do I feel confident? 1, you have to make sure that the relationships you choose to carry throughout school are uplifting and motivating you, especially your relationships, if you choose to have a special one or a loved one. Your family, the housing that you are in. You can't wake up in the morning and expect to go about having an easy-ish day at school when it's already hell when you wake up. I know how hard and chaotic some households can be. I promise. I was a part of a chaotic one. You have to be able to understand that your mental focus is what's going to get you through school. And you are in charge of that. If you have to put yourself in the position where you wake up and you are by yourself, or you wake up and you're surrounded by friends or just happy people that make you feel confident and ready for the day, that's what you have to do, right? That's what you have to do. Secondly, you have to tell yourself you are in charge of your grades. Being able and holding on to the responsibility in your own hands should bring you so much confidence. So much confidence, you guys. Another thing that really helps me is I write notes all over my house. I have little sticky notes hanging up in my bathroom. I write notes with expo markers on my mirror. If I wake up and I might be struggling with my acne, or I might, be having a bad makeup day, I have little positive affirmations surrounding me. And remember in the last video, sometimes just thinking positively or having positive thoughts, it doesn't pick where it needs to pick. It's a start, you know. It's a friendly reminder if you're like, oh my God, there's a reminder. Or maybe a picture. I have pictures everywhere that help boost my confidence because I'm reminded I'm strong. I can do this. I have people looking out for me, whether they're in heaven, whether they're on earth. I can carry the confidence within myself to then uplift other people, you know? Another thing, I try to make sure I'm focusing on my self-care while I'm still going to school. Put on a face mask while you're doing your homework, you know? Make some tea. Paint your toenails, and while they're drying, read your next chapter of your book. Do little things to help build your confidence, help stimulate your self-love. There's a whole bunch of different things that we can do, you guys. How I feel confident, if I feel like I'm lacking, I educate myself. I do not think there's any other way that you can build confidence than to educate yourself. Being able to have a decent conversation, to articulate clearly, to be able to think and ponder new ideas, it's cool. It's way better than, sitting there being down about yourself. When you have a mind that is so vast and almost just yearning for growth and education, you build confidence too. The more you learn, the better you can be. You know what I mean? The more ideas, the more thoughts you can have too. Right? One of my biggest things to help deal with confidence or with anxiety, you guys, I promise, no one is ever watching. And the people you think are, they really aren't. They don't care. 99%, you guys, everybody's worried about themselves. You know how you're sitting like, oh my God, is somebody looking at me? Somebody doing this, doing that? A lot of other people are probably doing that too. The person you think is staring at you or your hair might just be in a daze thinking, oh my God, is my hair, oh my God, you know? Take a breath and maybe just even look around and think, let me see how many people are really watching me or paying attention to me. You might catch one person accidentally catch eye contact with you, but a lot of the times, you guys, people have their nose on their phone, a book, somewhere else, a conversation, or they're worried about their next step, like you should be worried about yours. Being confident is allowing yourself to feel the anxiety, but to understand why you're feeling that anxiety and to deal with it and to expand your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Confidence comes with expanding the comfort zone as well. Because if you think about it, when our comfort zone is really tiny, what are we? We're just little mice. We don't want to come out. We're a little turtle in our shell. We might have confidence inside when we're at home, but if we expand our comfort zone, our confidence can expand with that as well. You know? So think about that. Not being envious or jealous of other people. There are some kids who literally don't have to try in school. There are some kids who get accepted to the best school. There are some kids whose parents can afford for them to go to any collegiate college that they literally want to. We cannot allow the success or the opportunities of others to hinder our process or our progress, you guys. The longer we sit dwelling on the perfections of other people or the things that we see so amazing, then we're just like, dang, why can't I be like that? Or why do they have that and I don't? Our minds are expelling so much negative energy. We cannot become a magnet to positive energy, to positive experiences, to positive opportunities if we are envious or jealous of others. How do I do this? Well, you can start with the simple thing. Your social media, the people you follow, maybe your friends at school. Are they just out of your league, you know? It's goofy, you can, but if you think about it, it's hard to be able to connect on a personal level to somebody who may not be at the same lifestyle as you. Say they love cars and you love horses, you know? And you're envious of all the cars that they have and you can't be pleased with the horses that you have. Think if that relationship or that friendship is even positively impacting you. Think about on social media. Are you following people who have such unrealistic lifestyles for you? The expectations, they just don't make sense. It just doesn't add up. The puzzle pieces wouldn't fit in your life. Why? You know, why would we spend time following or like gazing upon stuff that's just, it's just not in our reach? It's amazing to have goals and it's amazing to strive for a positive future, but it's another thing when we allow the present life of somebody to run our future, you know? We can't be envious and want what somebody else has, or we'll never appreciate what we have. What if what we have is so much more impactful and life-changing than what they're experiencing? But because we want to experience what they're experiencing, we will never learn what we were set out to learn. You know what I mean? When you're not focusing on yourself, you're not going to excel. Other people are going to excel, and you're going to sit there and literally be like, yo, why are all of these people just blooming? It's because they're likely focusing on them while you're also focusing on them. You're not focusing on yourself. If you were focusing on yourself and not being envious, or maybe working on your envious tendencies by reading or educating yourself, finding new habits or new hobbies, meeting new people, your focus comes back onto yourself, you know? So follow motivational and uplifting people. Don't follow people who love to throw their lifestyle or their confidence or their luxurious everything, their school, their sorority that they're part of, and just throw it in your face. Don't follow people like that, or I promise you'll just continue to follow down the same envious and jealous road. You are so unique as is. There's no room for that. Don't allow your body to even metastasize the energy to put forth being envious or jealous. Allow that to motivate you. You know, it's like turning hatred into love or creativity. You know, use that envious or jealousy and transform it into another feeling. It may be way easier said than done, and we can talk about it all on its own, because I used to be like that and sometimes I still am. How we live in a comparing world, you know? We're comparing by nature. It's like we have eyes, what are we not? We have minds that think for ourselves. Of course we're going to be thinking and comparing ourselves. It's goofy to think that we won't, or that it's not going to be hard to stop the habit we've been doing our whole lives, you know what I mean? So it starts with the little things, clearing up the little stuff. And then the big picture might brighten up. Competition in college. There are always those kids who just want to compete. You might even have a competitive mindset. I mean, me personally, growing up as a gymnast and always competing, I love winning. I love getting a good grade. You know, I love being the best. So I was like trained to do that. You know what I mean? So some of us, you know, we might carry that competitive sports mentality into our school, or maybe we're competitive with our siblings, or, you know, our other friends, just as of joking. You guys, school is a journey for ourselves. It's a journey. It's a self-improvement, self-educating. Other people are on the journey too, but their journey doesn't impact you. It doesn't affect you. Their success, it doesn't affect you. It can motivate you. It can bring you down if you let it, but it really isn't going to get you out of bed. It's not going to pay your bills, right? It's not going to further your education. Do not see it as a competition. If anything, see it as a competition against yourself. Want to get a better grade than your previous grade, or want to do completely better than the previous semester. But do not pick a kid in class to go against, or do not even want to prove to yourself, to the teacher, that, oh, I'm the best out here. Look at me, look at me. I deserve the good grade. Hard work will pay off, I promise. So if you're out here trying to prove yourself and compete against other people, don't worry about proving anything. If anything, worry about proving to yourself that you're capable of maintaining a good GPA, or that you're capable of being dedicated and motivated. So then maybe other people will look at you and be like, dang, I want to be like that. I don't want to compete against it, but I want to be like that, you know? I think that's more cool and more humbling for somebody to not necessarily want to follow your footsteps, but to see that the way you're going about life, that you're not competing, that you're not being stubborn or judgmental or dictating other people by their grades. You're simply just living, you know? And you're trying, and you know that you're trying. Another thing, you guys, life still goes on after college, and life still goes on after high school. High school, you guys, it's such a crazy journey. But the journey continues. The kids that you were competing against, you probably will never see again in your life. And then you'll think to yourself, damn, I spent all that time worrying about doing better than Janet, and now Janet doesn't even live in this state anymore, and she's a secretary for a water rigging plant when I'm over here tending to hens. See? There's a huge difference, and the spectrum can go so far. So competing against the next person, you guys, it's just fooling yourself, and you're seriously just putting yourself on hold. I think, yes, competition can be good. It's good to want to compete, because in a sense, I know this is sounding hypocritical, but in a sense, when you are competitive, you have a drive, you have this motivation and this determined mindset to just do better. But instead of having that determined and that dedicated and committed mindset to just winning and doing better than everybody else, have it be that you're dedicated to your practice, that you're dedicated to your education, or you're just dedicated to yourself getting accepted to the school you want to get accepted to. What if Robert doesn't even want to go to the same school as you, you know? Or what if you think he did the whole time, but then it turns out he got accepted and went to a whole nother school, and you're just like, crap. I just wanted to prove to myself and to him and to my mom that I could do it, but this isn't even what I want. So also keep that in mind. Are you competing for the approval of yourself, or for your classmates, or for your parents, or for your teachers? Who are you really competing to win for? I think that's a better question. Next, my good friend ASAP Dill came in with some advice for himself, and he was like, you know what, just don't go. And I think that is the best advice you could give to somebody if they are truly, truly struggling and might not be able to grasp onto all of the things that they need to in that period. It is so okay, you guys, to take a break. I promise, I did it, and I'm currently doing it right now. I'm dying to go back to school and finish my college degree, but I'm not ready. Mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, did I mention? It would be goofy. Sometimes school costs a lot of money, you guys. Sometimes we don't even know what the heck we want to do. So instead of forcing ourselves to either hurry up and we're rushing into school and we're bombarding ourselves with all of this homework and we don't even know what we want to do. This is mostly kind of more so talking about transitioning from high school to college. Just allow yourself to take a break. There's some high schools that would even be okay with that, or some offer summer classes to then catch up if anything that you've missed. You guys, your mental health and your well-being are more important than a report card, than a degree, than a diploma. Who are you if you're not your best self? Who are you if you can't even excel to get to that point? You know what I mean? Or then if you get to it, then you're all burnt out. You don't have any money, say. You don't have any energy left. You're depressed. You're just stressed. Allow yourself to have time. It's like a butterfly. It doesn't just force itself to bloom all of a sudden. It takes its time in its cocoon. Some take longer. Some just bloom. And they're out flying. We're all on different stopwatches, okay? It is okay if your grades fall. It is okay if you get behind. Do not be hard on yourself, you guys. Life is so hard. Life is really, really hard. Trying to maintain being a kid, being a teenager, being a sometimes household guardian, sometimes caring for your siblings, sometimes having to cook every night. It's a lot. Sometimes it's hard for us to stay on top of school, especially if we have a job, especially if we have a family to take care of. Do not get down on yourself. That's the last thing. You have to be the cheerleader on your side. If you leave the sideline, it's empty, dude. There's no gardener planting new seeds to start growing. At least keep your gardener on your side. You need a gardener, a cheerleader, you know, you need a couple people on your side. They're all you. But you have different jobs to maintain, and it can get hard. So again, if your grades fall, it's okay. You have the opportunity to get them back up. Don't allow yourself to fall back too far. There's always somebody to help. There's always somebody to guide you. But follow your passion, you guys. If you want to sell clothes, if you want to be a fashion designer, if you want to do makeup, if school just isn't your thing, that's okay too. That's really okay, you know? Different strokes for different folks. We have a very, very long life ahead of us, you know? So to bury our passion with a mound of dirt, you got to keep in mind you're going to have to get your fingers dirty digging it back up. And then when you dig it back up, it's probably going to be cold. It's probably going to be a little sad. You might need to shake it up and, you know, wake it up a little bit. Get some spunk back into it. But it's patience, you guys. It's taking time. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in today's video is friendships. Making friendships, you know? Heck, it's not that fun sometimes to go about alone, you know? Especially if you haven't grasped the concept that it's possible to be alone and not lonely. You know what I mean? So what do? We want to make friends. We want to have relations. We want to just have somebody to talk to giggle with, you know? Some of us might not. It's between being extroverted and introverted. But if you are somebody who's out there and you're like, yo, I just want to make friends, sometimes stepping outside of your comfort zone might be what it takes. I made one of my best friends because she passed me a note. She literally wrote me a note in college and passed it to me, had somebody pass it to me, and we literally, a friendship sprouted from that. Maybe pass them a note. Go back to the good old days, and you can have that note for forever, and when you're 50 years old, like, dude, do you remember how this freaking friendship started? I have it. I have the piece of paper. Maybe add them on social media, or have a friend and a friend. Like, y'all hang out. Go hang out as a group. Go bowling. Go do something. There's time outside of class. Some people are just dedicated to going to school. Some people are like that, you know? I've had some people that are like, yo, Sarah, I tried to make a friend today, and they literally told me, yo, I'm sorry, I'm here for school. Those types of people, maybe they're not the ones you want to make friends with, you know? Everybody's on their own path, and that's okay. Don't force somebody to want to be friends with you. Promise, don't. Also, there's so many kids that go to your school. You have so many new classes that are coming too. People will come and people will go. Some of the best friendships I've ever had are literally the most effortless. They just came. They happened all of the sudden. Weird attracts weird, you guys. And sometimes the weirdos like us, we're like far apart, you know? It takes a little bit to get near each other. Or sometimes we never find each other in the first year of school. Maybe next year we find our best friend. School, the main purpose, you guys, yes, we can communicate. Yes, we can focus on our social skills. But we want to educate, you know, we want to learn, especially if we're going for a degree. So also keep that in mind. We're not really at school to make friends. We could go to concerts. We can go to fun summer activities if we really want to make friends, you know. That's where people are the most open to wanting to conversate. A lot of times school is school. So take that burden off your back. Don't have too high of expectations that everybody's just going to want to be open and just ready to have a friendship, you know. Some people might be closed off. We never know. One thing. What the friendships that you do have, the way to maintain your friendship is being transparent and having trust. There is nothing more you can do to hurt yourself than having a toxic friend. Talk about a backpack that will not come off. People affect us and our mental, our physical, our spiritual side so much. Sometimes out of our control if we don't have a grasp on ourselves. We have to be careful. People can suck our energy. People can restore our energy. But we have to be mindful of what we allow around ourselves. So if you are really just eager to make friends, keep that in mind, you know? This world is very big, so there's a lot of different personalities and there's a lot of different people out there. So take your time. Allow yourself to get settled into the new environment, into a new situation. Don't search too hard, you know? And there's even other little things like, there's plant forums. There's different accounts on Tumblr. I know that, you know, if you don't even need to see the people face to face, you can just be in a group chat with a whole bunch of friends. But it is important, you guys, to be able to have a network of people so you are not isolating yourself or sticking to kind of a one-mind way of thinking. It's very important for our thoughts to be challenged, our thoughts to be provoked. And sometimes that's hard if we're just by ourselves. So I really do want to keep that in mind too. I know there have been times where I'm like, yo, forget friends, because sometimes it can be like that. Sometimes we feel like that. Sometimes we're like, yo, all I need is myself. But at the end of the day, there's no easier and happier way of uplifting yourself than uplifting others, than helping spread your creativity or your imagination and allowing that to inspire others, even if it's just one friend or just somebody on the side of the street. I do believe that it is very important for us to keep in contact and have human interactions with one another. But trust and maintaining that trust is so important. The second that starts lagging or the second you just start second guessing, you also need to be able to be open and talk to a friend or a loved one or anybody. A friendship isn't just something that all of a sudden is like Velcro, it just sticks. You gotta work hard. It's with everything, with anything, raising a dog, you know, with a sister, with a plant. You have to try. School is so interesting and it takes up a big part of our life. And I feel like it's not like we're just thrown into it, but in a way we are, and we're not really ready. Like I said, the reason why I want to make a video on dealing with grief or the loss of a loved one and school on its own is because it's challenging, and it's a topic that I kind of want to be able to go in depth on, and I don't want to just try to talk about in 5 minutes. Sometimes when I try to do that, I don't really get out what I want to say. So, if any of you guys have any opinionated thoughts, or, agreed with any of the advice, let me know. And, some of us might not be in school, so let's try to also expand this idea to just, yes, we can make a video on education and going to school while dealing with grief, but we also want to talk about dealing with life in general with grief. Like, how do I maintain eating, and how do I maintain taking care of myself, bathing myself when I'm just too freaking depressed, or I'm just grieving? I can't accept reality. I have been there, and I would love to help talk to you guys about it. Yeah. So, without further ado, I hope you guys liked this video. I am trying to get back into the swing of things, being more just authentic and myself on camera again, and just busting out the videos when I feel like it should. And then secondly, maintaining motivation in school and education while dealing with the loss of a loved one, because that is a whole new tricky situation on itself, okay? If you guys have any other video topics that you guys want me to cover, if you guys like these types of videos where I cover a whole bunch of little topics regarding one, or if you want me to stick to my usual style where I kind of just talk about one bit of advice as opposed to a whole gaggle of geese. So, yes, I hope you guys had an amazing Halloween. I hope you are welcoming November with a blossoming smile. Remember to give yourself a pat on the back and take it easy. You are doing amazing. You are fighting. You are pushing. You are getting up every morning, and that is a huge freaking step of its own. Your emotions are valid. You are valid. Be patient with yourself. This is just a journey, okay? And a journey doesn't end. It keeps going. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this, and please, please have an amazing rest of your night.